Hulk Explained: The Secrets of the Green Avenger Hulk. This is like when you think you know someone but then they flip it on you. It's the worst feeling ever and always comes off as betrayal. So look again. That guy or girl you think you know may, in fact, be plotting to bankrupt you in the long term. In that same vein, the angry Hulk we assume we know actually has an even darker version of himself deep inside. There's a saying that goes, it usually takes a day to meet someone, but a lifetime to know them. So let's start by introducing KLUH. KLUH is the scariest Hulk alter ego among all others. He is also referred to as the Hulk's Hulk, but not in the sense that these two variants of Hulk are friendly to each other. KLUH is, in fact, the worst incarnation of Hulk you can ever get. Notice that the name KLUH is the backward spelling of Hulk. This should give us a clue as to how deranged this guy is. Plus, he has black skin instead of the standard radioactive green. His body is marked by red scars all over, as if he were a volcano with lava flowing through his veins. To top things off, he has red eyes, a white mohawk, claws, and no morality whatsoever. We know that Bruce Banner has many alter egos that occasionally determine what type of Hulk he turns into. And all these alter egos borrow from his traumatic childhood and youth. And we can't do without mentioning the variant of the Hulk who loves to smash things and is generally regarded as dumb. The transition from being a smart scientist like Bruce to turning into this big green monster that finds it hard to communicate except by wreaking havoc still entertains fans to date. But that is just the first and basic layer of the many personalities of Hulk that Bruce managed to suppress while growing up. The Hulk is notorious for the anger tantrums that he has more recently been able to contain. As such, the original Hulk is mostly heroic until it is wrongfully provoked. At such times, the rage acquires a life of its own, resulting in destruction. KLUH, on the other hand, is similar to the likes of the Devil Hulk and Guilt Hulk alter egos and is a purely vicious and evil-minded beast. So essentially, KLUH is the polar opposite of the Hulk. Often seen as a hero and not a villain, KLUH was revealed in his full glory in the Axis storyline, where villains and heroes switched their moralities and roles. The Red Skull was somehow behind this, and the effects of it did a lot of damage, including the emergence of KLUH. But how does this rare form of the Hulk roll? For starters, if you combine the original Hulk's strength and indestructibility with a being that has no conscience whatsoever, then you get the picture. We will use such words as sadistic, aggressive, and egotistical to describe KLUH. He once said he likes to bathe in the blood of innocents, so carnage and genocide are second nature to him. He even dared to chew off the hand of a young superhero named Nova, so you can include cannibalism in his list of characteristics, which also makes KLUH twisted and callous for good measure. But how did it all begin? First off, Bruce Banner has a lot of pent-up emotions locked inside of him from his upbringing, so he could easily have hated the world and become a villain. But instead, all that anger was channeled into the Hulk, and Bruce Banner's multiple personalities picked up over the years give expression in the many alter egos Hulk exhibits. Once Bruce Banner experienced that nuclear gamma accident, all of his many conflicting personalities were fused into one big mass in the form of the Hulk. So that aside, this particular story starts with the Red Skull somehow obtaining Professor Xavier's brain from his dead corpse, which suggests that even after his death, Xavier's magical mind could still do wonders. With this brain, the Red Skull was able to turn the villains into thinking like heroes. At the same time, he turned the heroes that comprise the Avengers into thinking like villains. Consequently, they almost destroyed themselves, but more on that later. KLUH was the one who named himself, and to put things in perspective, even the combined strength of Luke Cage, Thor, the Scarlet Witch, and the other Avengers couldn't contain him. And we know why. It's because he was much stronger and impulsively vicious than your normal green-skinned Hulk. The Hulk is a separate personality from Bruce Banner, which was evident in the last few installments of the Marvel Avengers movie saga. We all know the story so well. When the gamma bomb exploded close to Bruce, the radiation also penetrated his psyche aside from affecting him physically too. All that bitterness while growing up took form in the Hulk. Needless to say, Bruce is a complex individual, and as time passed, other aspects of his personality, which were suppressed over time, would come to light in the Hulk. But it seems KLUH is entirely on another level because you can't trace him to Bruce's personality. It's like he's a freak in every sense of the word. But to be fair to Red Skull, this is what happens when someone tampers with magic. You never really know what you're getting, the result is usually random. This is what happened in the case of KLUH. If what happened to the Hulk happened to any one of us, the result would be just as random and surprising. For instance, your worst self might turn out to be a priest or something like that. In the case of the Hulk, he got KLUH. What the Red Skull did is called an inversion event, and it was portrayed in the Axis series of comics. As mentioned earlier, the powers and moralities of superheroes and the respective villains were inverted the other way around, and at first, no one realized what was happening, like they had been hypnotized. The Red Skull had used Xavier's brain to amplify the hatred of everyone on Earth, and the result was chaos. Magneto eventually got to the Red Skull and ended him, but the fallout of this was the darker side of Professor Xavier's brain was unleashed on the world as a parting gift. Red Skull himself didn't die then, but was turned to the Red Onslaught instead. Red Onslaught then tapped into Tony Stark's database and retrieved sensitive information about all the superheroes of the era. With this knowledge, he was able to recreate Sentinels to help him defeat the Avengers. But in fact, the Avengers kept the Sentinels at bay in order to buy themselves more time. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Doom were able to cast a spell on Red Onslaught that reversed the polarity of his mind and released the hold of Professor Xavier's brain power. However, this spell would make everyone in its vicinity pass out without remembering how they got there. This included the X-Men and the Avengers, and when they came to their senses, they disagreed over what to do with Red Skull. The argument started to become petty, and you could sense that something was not right in both camps. The story moves on where the Avengers become a little more arrogant in their behavior, with petty squabbles every now and then. Red Skull was imprisoned in the basement of the Avengers Tower, and Nick Fury wanted to move him so that he could be tried in court. The idea resulted in yet another argument. On his part, the Hulk didn't seem like himself and spoke in that childlike babbling voice of his. He urged them to stop arguing, but soon after it was revealed that they wanted to kill Red Skull. Jarvis, the butler to the Avengers, hated the idea and pleaded with Hulk to stop them. In truth, the Avengers were not killers, but it seemed something bad had taken hold of them. Hulk placed himself between the Avengers and the door. He tried to reason with them in his baby voice, but then Luke Cage did the unthinkable and punched Hulk out of the way. Before now, the Hulk had been very meek and childlike due to the spell, so those in the room were not prepared for what came next. The spell also brought out the Hulk's darkest side, which is KLUH, and he made himself known in more ways than one. Eventually, KLUH simmered down and joined the reversed Avengers in their plan to destroy the X-Men and dominate the world. But the only person standing in their way was Nova, a teenage superhero. Nova is an interstellar hero like Captain Marvel. He can travel at the speed of light and shoot powerful beams at his opponent, and even he couldn't entirely stop KLUH. There were others who tried too. The X-Men collectively tried to stop KLUH with no success. KLUH is also resistant to magic, and you can't say the Scarlet Witch didn't attempt to curtail him. In all his glory, Apocalypse also tried his hands at destroying KLUH. Even the Absorbing Man was pitted against KLUH at some point. The Absorbing Man is a longtime nemesis of the original Hulk, but with KLUH, he more than meets his match. Even though the Absorbing Man has the ability to acquire the properties of anything he touches, this trick didn't work too well with KLUH. As a final note, you should buy the back issues of the Axis comic book series under the Marvel comic books imprint to get the rest of the story and see what happens next. Was the inversion reversed? Did the X-Men and the Avengers ever pause to realize they were under a spell initiated by the Red Skull's antics? Or how and where did the Red Skull end up? Head to your closest comic book store online or offline now. That's it, folks, and as Stanley would say, Excelsior! Please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to get up to speed on related Marvel comic book titles. Thank you for watching, and bye!